Welcome to the first episode of the Get Roasted podcast, your number one spot in the South for all things hemp and cannabis. Today we're joined by Stephen Crabtree, owner and CEO of Crossville Vapor and Roasted Hemp Co. Also joined by comedian Kiley Gray. This episode was recorded live at Crossville Vapor's third anniversary party. We talked about lessons learned in the industry and the trails we blazed doing so. So get ready to grind, pack it in, and get roasted. So we're here. I guess this is going to be the first episode of the Get Roasted podcast. We are here at Crossville Vapor. It is September 7th, and it is the third year anniversary of Crossville Vapor.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Woo. Yeah.
So, Krabs, did you ever imagine you would make it this far?
No, I didn't think I would make it to brick and mortar by no means, no. But after we started, yes, I 100% thought, wow, we're going to do something amazing with this. This was also before, where we have the products that we have now, because no one knew that you could sell them. So that really strengthened that expectation of what we were going to do.
So it's a big difference from selling pot out of a van to brick and
real,
mortar.
Yeah, a lot more consistent, and you can pick the names. Yeah.
What are some of the valuable lessons you've learned in this industry in the past 3 years?
Everything revolves around politics and lobbying.
Yeah.
C'est la vie.
The hard truth.
I kind of understand why some of the stores that did know earlier, kept it quiet so that way they could do it for a longer period of time. But it was only a matter of time before that information, come out, and then, and then that's when all the your regulation and oversight starts to step in, and things get difficult. And something I didn't expect was to be thrusted into the political world, and I despise it, but it is important because, it controls your daily life and access to things that we've wanted. I never expected to be able to do this industry in the town that we live in, and people still today will say that they think that Tennessee would be one of the last states to legalize.
I can see that.
Like we had a billboard for 4 months on the interstate over top of Buc-ee's that said, exit now for free weed. So
I heard about that. That's awesome. How it kind of blended into theirs.
Yeah.
Eli was telling me about that, and that is brilliant marketing.
Yeah,
brilliant marketing.
It was one hell of a publicity stunt, and I didn't share it on social media because I didn't want the attention, if it makes sense, more than what it was. I'll wait to share it until I change it or I'm made to change it. And what happened was Buc-ee's got in contact with with Flynn.
Of course they did.
And they said we've had dozens upon dozens of customers come in and reference weed, and that their billboard was wrong and caused them to get off on the wrong exit. So they've seen weed exit.
Of course,
now.
they are a Texas-based company, so should have seen it coming.
Oh, for real, man. They originally said that you can either sell us their billboard or we're going to cancel our contract. Flynn calls me and they're like, look, we're going to do stuff for you, and make it well worth your while since we're going to have to change it. Now I don't have to pay the fee to change the vinyl for it, so it's kind of a win for me. The part that I was more afraid of was like litigation or something, because they've got a big ass stick, and
they're a big company. They probably have some big ass lawyers in their back pocket.
I'm not playing with that, but thankfully, I did, and I can't take all the credit for the design of the billboard. I can take credit for the approval. My guy with Flynn, come up with the sign, and it was dark green background, with the same bold yellow letters. But after we had talked a little bit, they, I guess, had a change of heart. Well, who are we to tell you how that you have to advertise? As long as you can, just make it a little less adult content and not look so much like ours, we'll be all right.
But yet they have billboards with wineries all over the place.
Yeah.
So adult content, I don't really understand that.
Yeah. Well, it says free samples now. Yeah. It says free samples now. Yeah. And that was kind of my idea, was that I leave it up for as long as I possibly could. And when I change it, it still says Crossville Vapor with the pot leaves. But now it says Crossville Vapor, exit now, / for free samples, and then, pot leaves on it. So it implies that, we're giving free weed away still. But if you happen to drive by regularly and you've seen it and it said free weed, now you know exactly what it's saying. So
so there's not free weed. I'm gonna go.
Not anymore.
I'm leaving.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
the only reason why I came in.
Yeah. If you can have.
Where's my bud, Beaver?
Yeah. I would love to have been there to see, like the person asked the Buc-ee's employee, "Where's the free weed?" Yeah. The Buc-ee's be like, "What's going on here?"
Buc-ee's has already fired 3 employees for selling out the back door.
Yeah. Hey, man, that's a capitalist.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and the Beaver looks stoned anyway. I mean, come on now. To be honest.
For real, dude. It would be.
And it might make their prices a little bit more manageable.
Yeah. I don't think
$8 for a freaking breakfast burrito? Come on now.
Yeah.
Krabs, you said something earlier, and I want to hear what you have to say about it. You did mention about how a lot of the stores early on, a lot of the industry was very slow to let the word out on what was really going on. And
well, I think that just specific stores that really knew what cannabis was.
Right.
I liked cannabis, but I didn't know what what made it.
Would you agree that a lot of the stores in the region or in the South are really kind of playing it safe? Like, would you think that for the most part, kind of trying to keep to themselves to a certain degree? And I mean, now it's changing, but I feel like I saw your store take a lot more risks and chances early on, where a lot of these other stores that have been around for several more years,
right,
that just they weren't willing to.
I think it was more.
Out.
It was more. No education. Like not necessarily desired. A lot of it wasn't. A lot of the stores didn't want to go that way. I mean, I think there was a study done where they were like, if the government was to legalize cannabis, like what industry would be the best to pass it across the country?
Yeah.
And vapor smoke shop was that business. And so I feel like that's where the hemp bill went through and why it helped us so much, because at the same time you had the PACT Act go through, and that stopped all your online stores, which helps brick and mortar, but like stores were having a hard time because the PMTA process, pre-market tobacco application process, the FDA was making companies go through, and they failed them all. So that's why you got synthetic nicotine, and a lot of e-liquid companies just shut down, and a lot of stores that were making e-liquid just shut down. So stores didn't know what to do, so they started picking up like CBD products. So they just didn't know anything about it. So there was a bunch of stores.
So you're saying it was education. It's kind of like people were hearing about this cannabis A, but then they're hearing that, well, it's illegal for marijuana in Tennessee, so how can you sell this if it's different?
The reason why is because I think that because even dudes that knew what cannabis is, that have been growing it illegally in California and all these legal states, even they hoodwinked and like, no, that doesn't, and then when you explain it, they're like, that's cannabis, and they would get aggressive with you when you're like, dude, that's illegal, you're going to jail. And you're like, no, man, clearly the bill says 0.3% Delta-9 30 days before harvest. That's another part that people miss. But it doesn't say anything about THCA. It just says Delta-9, which is just THC. So the reason why I feel like they missed it, a lot of your guys that knew what cannabis was because when you go and get a package, it tells you like your CBD percentage, and that's a decarbed cannabinoid. It's CBDA, which is the acid. Decarbed is just CBD. CBGA, is the acid. Decarbed, it's CBG. So it'll have a CBG percentage, if it's got a decent amount of CBG or CBN or THCV, and then it'll have your total THC. How you get your total THC amount is you'll have, say, 20% THCA, and then you'll have, say, 0.54% THC or Delta-9. If you times the 20% THCA by 0.877, that's the decarb rate of THC.
Okay, don't make me do math now.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, if you add it, just for instance, if you had 100% THCA and 0.5 THC, then you would have 87.5 or 87.7 5 percent total THC.
Gotcha.
Because of the decarb rate. So your legal state growers and everything, they just automatically lump in THCA with THC because it is the same thing. And their laws are set up that way that basically explain it as the same thing. They just completely overlooked that the hemp law doesn't mention it at all. And that's where they didn't get it. A very small, group of people that actually look at stuff and can see through the weeds that aren't as programmed, I guess. I don't know how else to explain it.
But do you think like maybe it's the state governments and stuff like that didn't want it to get out either?
I would say that, but the way that the hemp bill was structured, they referred to cannabinoids. So, like, just in the beginning of the law, like the way that they passed it in 2018, it was like they were set up knowing that this was going to happen. As much as they try to say that, this is a loophole and they didn't have a clue, and this was not necessary or not intentional, but that doesn't seem true because they referred to cannabinoids multiple times throughout the 2018 hemp bill. So I do think that the states don't know anything about it. Like when we go to the Capitol, like we're having to educate them on what it is, as they're trying to tell us,
that's got to be fun.
Marijuana bad, and then they'll joke around about getting, eating gummy bears and doing funny stuff. Like, it's hilarious watching a bunch of people that don't know anything about it. They're like, oh yeah, I bet you got him some of them gummy bears, and then the whole panel is like, ha. And then the people that you're threatening their livelihood sitting in front of them, that's like, this shit ain't funny. Like, please look at the whiteboard here and let me explain to you what we're doing and why. Like, this is what we mean by common sense, like regulation. Like, let's set a standard package, requirements,
consistency,
and age consistency, right? So that way everybody knows like what the rules are and and how to play. And something that I didn't know, and I'm still trying to learn, is that like there's law is passed, okay, and then like these agencies that aren't elected, like the Department of Agriculture, they read the law and then they release the rules, all right, and rules are their interpretation on what that law means, which is completely the opposite in most cases than what the law actually says, because you have people
most
that
of the
are
time you have to have a
it.
law degree just to read these things anymore,
and some of them do, but a lot of them don't.
A lot of them don't.
And so
I don't. You don't. So, I mean, it's hard for us to read.
Right. So I think what helps us out so much that has a good chance to benefit us is that Chevron difference. I think makes it to where non-elected officials, like that can't. Like it has to be passed in law. If it's law, then it's law. A rule that was like put forth, is not a lawful order if they come in as they're doing right now. They're coming in right now and inspecting stores based on their rules, not the law that was passed last year. And then the rules aren't even the final rules. The final rule doesn't come out until December.
Right.
But so to me, it's a waste of taxpayer money to send the 10 agents that are going to go around and inspect the entire state, to do that now, when they're like, okay, they're going to come and educate us on the temporary rules that are subject to change in 6 months. So I got to get compliant now, and you're not going to enforce it until October, and then you're going to come back to me in 3 months and change it.
Wow.
And they're really playing catch up a lot of time. I think
there's only 10 of them.
Yeah.
And another thing that's upsetting, and
they could hire more. That would be more jobs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think about something that's upsetting is they're only inspecting the stores that did what was right and paid the tax last year.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
All the gas stations and C stores, all those guys, or the ones that just aren't doing it right, they're not going to know that they're doing it unless they just walk in there, get a tip. But like they won't have the ability to do anything about it anyway, because they're so overwhelmed. There's only 10 of them for the whole state. They incentivize you to not follow the law, because if I didn't pay the tax last year, then they wouldn't even know I'm here, and they would inspect everybody else. They hadn't even seen what a license looks like.
So you're trying to tell me the government doesn't know what they're doing?
Yeah,
that's a shocker.
Something like that. Yeah,
shocker.
Yeah, I learned today.
I think what you need to do is go to the Capitol and just start giving out free samples and make them try it, and they may change their minds.
Yeah.
Because all it is a bunch of old people making laws that are based on what they were shoved down their throats as kids a long time ago. And I know it sounds morbid and horrible to say, but I'm sorry, these old politicians and everything, if they're not going to retire, just die. I know that sounds so horrible to say, but come on.
I shared that sentiment, but at the same time, I'm also afraid to see the world that is left behind when that does happen. I wish that there was more time for the youth and to absorb as much information as we can from these people, because I feel like we're going to need a lot of it to move forward, in the coming time personally. So I used to say that all the time, and I understand it completely. But
it blows my mind because like most of these politicians now and everything, they were the hippies from the 60s. I don't understand why they don't understand all this stuff now.
Yeah.
It's like they used to do that shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but like we were talking about the Grateful Dead earlier, and it's a rabbit hole, but like there was a CIA lab off Haight Ashbury that was set up as a like a dope house or whatever they called them, a flop house, where they were to give out like LSD to do trials and for MK
Timothy
Ultra.
Leary and everything,
and they created Charles
Timothy Leary
Manson.
out of Harvard,
What? I'm sorry.
Timothy Leary out of Harvard. He used to do studies on him and give him to his. I mean, it was done in the 60s, I think.
Yeah. Well, they created Charles Manson. They did the MK Ultra trials to Whitey Bulger. But when you hear that, it's like, wow, that's government funded and created.
It's aliens, bro. Aliens.
Yeah, it was the Grateful Dead, CIA, government, or was the Grateful Dead, CIA officials? I mean,
I was fortunate to my last show that I saw, Jerry was still alive.
It's so magical. It's something you can't describe it. There's so much energy everywhere.
Oh, their music was organized chaos. I loved it.
Yeah, organized chaos. That's a really good way to explain the genre. Jam band. I mean, that makes sense too.
Yeah.
But
they would just throw some stuff together and it just worked.
Yeah.
So speaking of music, I am pretty sure, I can't be 100% certain, but I am pretty sure that we are the first dispensary dab bar in the state to also have a full-size venue in its location at our Cookeville store, Roasted Hemp Co. So what do you, tell me about that, man. Tell me about, what your vision and what you see for that, get Roasted Entertainment out of Roasted Hemp Co.
Really, a parallel economy is part of that, right? It doesn't all have to necessarily be about alcohol, but that's kind of the neat part of it as well. And I like to drink, but I don't like to go out to bars because every time I would go to a bar, minding my own business, somebody wanted to fight or be aggressive or you were constantly defending
you looking at my girl,
party.
Man? You looking at my girl?
Yeah, that kind of shit, and our grand opening party, there was over 1,500 people that showed up, over 160 people at one time. There's a decent amount of stuff in there, so it was quite packed. It was amazing. The vibe of it was nothing like a bar, but yet it felt like I was in a bar. The dab bar is 51 foot. People were stacked all over the place, all over the tables. I was blown away. So I think that it will start. It has a good opportunity to change music, the comedy scene.
I'm looking forward to performing on the 21st.
Yeah.
I was at your other location 2 weeks ago, and it blew my mind away. It wasn't expected.
How many places have you performed? Quite a few.
I performed from New York down to Miami. I've done USO gigs. I got kicked off of a cruise ship once. We won't go into that.
It's like a fun time.
No, I did a bush joke, and I wasn't supposed to talk. Well, it's funny because when you do either USO gigs or cruise ships or anything like that, they say you can't talk about sex, drugs, politics, religion. Don't ask. And I'm like, okay, I'm not a filthy comic, but I push the envelope a little bit.
Yeah.
And Carnival Cruise, the first show you have to be squeaky clean. Second show you can say whatever you want.
Okay.
That first show I happened to do. This is back in the day when W was in office.
Yeah.
I did a W joke, and this little blue-haired woman in the front row did not like it.
Interesting.
Ended up talking to the program director, and they said, "Well, we're going to pay you for this, but we're going to fly you off." I was like, "Well, okay then."
Yeah. Wow.
You've been voted off the island.
Yeah, I got voted off the island.
Yeah, you are the weakest link.
They made you walk the gang.
But any like alternative venues? Does that make sense? Are they all? They're all pretty like bar
Either
based,
bars,
right?
clubs, yeah, stuff like that, but never anything like this. And so I didn't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
I was just going up there to check out the place, and Eli was kind enough to let me get up on stage and do 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I had a ball. The people were cool. They were laughing, engaged.
Yeah.
And, usually at these other events, they're all drinking, and that's the thing. They're drinking.
Right.
And some of them are drinking.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
So, I mean,
that's kind of, you get that crowd interaction, though, and you've got some guys that shine with that. But
sometimes...
Yeah, I've seen it once with Billy Wayne Davis.
Yeah, BW. He's actually from here originally.
I know. I've
worked with him several times. He used to open up for Ralphie May.
Yeah, I've seen Ralphie May's wife at the same place. I've seen him at Megabytes. They're not there anymore. Megabytes anymore, but yeah, I've seen them both. But I guess he was my wife's brother's good friend from high school.
He's funny, and
he is funny.
Unfortunately, Ralphie. At least I got a picture on my Facebook of the three of us. But
that's cool. Yeah, his wife. I bought a shirt for my wife, who's a medical professional.
Yeah,
that was one of her jokes that says, "Is it wrong to ask an HIV patient to stay positive?"
That's great.
Well, interesting. I mean, that's why I ask you, because I feel like you've got probably some of the more stage presence than most of the people that we've had. What's the biggest we've had? Maybe like Cody Brooks that we've had down there so far.
Oh, do you mean Brooke?
Is it Cody Brooke?
Brooke, you think you're thinking? Oh, as far as music, yeah, Cody Brooks.
Music or
but as far as comedy, Brooke Jolly and then Danny Whitson, the headliner from that last show we just did.
Yeah, Danny was really good.
Was he really okay?
He was good. He held the audience the whole time.
That's something I'm dying to get down there just to see them physically myself. I've only been able to see a few of my shows, so
2 weeks from today.
I'd like to be there. I could do that in September.
All
October,
the cool kids are doing
extremely booked up, but
all the cool kids are doing it.
Yeah, that usually gets my rocks off. Yeah,
you kidding me? I'm so old that doesn't work on me anymore.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. Dang, man, I can't hang out there no more. I really think, man, that it would be interesting to see what this industry will produce. As long as as we do get people a little bit more involved with politics, to be able to maintain some normalcy as what we see today. That's the fear, is though any further legislation could take away from the access that we have and the ability to consume on site.
Well, I think that, with your entertainment,
Yeah.
it's kind of escape from the politics.
Agreed. Yeah, that's I love this
Because,
place.
we're sitting here, just telling jokes, playing music, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you just kind of forget all the bullshit that's going on in the government and in the world.
Yeah, well, when I mention politics, I don't mean nothing about like
I know
presidential.
Right.
It's all about like local, like involving
getting
politics.
the consumer on the same page with like.
To ensure for job security and industry security.
Sure.
Gotcha.
We do a lot of that. You'll come in and you might see by the register like save THCA or scan this QR code, shoot this email to our representatives. And there'll be call to actions like that. That's what I mean by getting involved in politics. We don't talk about politics or religion. That's a sign that's in the dab bar. Because it is such a vast collective of individuals that come here.
That's just bad business.
Yeah. So
Well, and that's one thing I was talking to Eli when we were out at your other location.
Yeah.
At the Roasted Hemp location, I was surprised that with everybody smoking, that there wasn't food except for your little snack tray there,
Yeah, which that was a half-assed try. I haven't got a set up yet with a snack company.
But I was
something.
like, you'd make a killing. Shit.
Yeah, for real. I don't know. This is a whole other area of navigation.
Right.
From
is that something you're looking into though?
Yeah, I have been looking into that. Like,
or at least food trucks or something.
I think. Well, we've got a couple of them, just not enough to book every event. And I also was trying to work a deal with the guys next door. I would like to call in the order, and say, hey, we got this order, and then they walk it over, which they already do as it is. But that would better the business next door, and also serve a purpose to the.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
Yeah, right. I looked also into like air fryer style food. I think
easy.
I think the regulation
Quick,
and stuff on that isn't as bad. Something about the freezer, it's still perishables, but anyway, there's so much going on with these two stores. I've not had the opportunity to say, let's add a whole nother section of difficult.
Eli, do you mind if I ask another question?
Go for it. Okay. It's open.
So, I know you've got the stage over there. Are you ever looking to do anything like that here, or is that going to be moving into the other locations that's coming up?
So, well, I mean, this started as a vapor store that had alternatives,
right?
And it molded into what it is today, which is mainly an alternative vapor store. So I had looked at doing like acoustic, I guess, stuff you could do here.
Right, like a one-man person,
but
like
trying to
up there playing music.
Yeah, I mean, we would have
maybe
to
not
do
brewer, but
you could do it in the parking lot. The space is
limited.
Kind of hard to see. Yeah, I mean, and with the way that the poles run through the center, I mean, it takes up even more.
We can always kick out the people next door.
Well, when the building went up for sale, we negotiated or we talked about it, and just the difference in interest alone. If we bought it, we've secured the property here for at least 10 years.
Oh, okay.
And if we purchased the building, we would pay $600,000 more than what we would pay in that 10 years.
Oh wow!
So yeah, that in just interest. So
yeah, you're not even talking principal or
right. Wow. So we're might as well just run it for 10 years. In worst case scenario, if they don't want to let us renew, we'll just build a freaking
you'll have enough money to build.
Wanting to, right.
And Crossville's growing anyway, so
100%. Yep. I'd also would be interested in potentially opening up a smaller one in Fairfield Glade. I know of another place that I think is trying to do that, but it would just be like a cannabis holistic style store. And then you would have to have a whole different sales team and strategy because of the location or the area. But
but a lot of them were brought up in the '60s too.
You know where the Megabytes was? It's an Italian restaurant or something like that now.
Yeah,
that's where we had looked at. I definitely am looking at the next stores to be big enough to host live shows. It really depends on the location. When we open one, like say if I open up one out there, maybe not. But
I was just looking at it because like here we really don't have anything anymore.
Right. Well, I'm also interested in opening up a bar here. Like I had thought about doing that in between opening another store. I even bought like a big tap system, and I've gotten a few little things. Nothing that says I have to open it right now, but I would like to do that. So I mean, I've looked at the Family Dollar, that the building that was off of Lantana by Dunlap. That's kind of Dollar General. It's just the parking lot and parking area isn't big enough to host what we would want. Gotcha. I guess you could have people park across at the church, but
church would not like that.
Yeah, right. Well, and there's been some decent talks with different or smaller congregations, but and then the church that I go to here is is quite friendly with it. It was pretty neat the first day that I went to Revolution and I sat down. In the sermon he was talking about how it's it's okay to smoke and this and that. It almost felt like he was directly talking to me just because I walked in there, but
you probably smelled of it.
Good.
No, I'm kidding.
I mean, I'm not denying that. It's very possible. You ever had, that's the bad thing with the Yocan Plus XL. Nice device, okay? But when you're at Ripley's Aquarium with your family in the underwater tank area, and the protruding button, clicks in your pocket and turns on, and I'm like, man, it smells like dank weed in here, and then my leg is hot as hell, and you start shaking your leg like fuck, pull the thing out and it's steaming hot, and And I just kind of look around and stand near the closest person that actually looks like he smokes, so that way it takes some heat off of me. Yeah, I'd be real close up to you, buddy. Yeah, this guy. Yeah.
Well, yeah, man. We've been recording for like an hour and a half.
We've been recording this shit?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Somebody always.
So you know that you can't be recording my voice and you can't be taking pictures of me because I'm in the witness protection program.
Yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah, that sounds like butter.
No, if I was in the witness
butter
protection
information
program,
to me.
I can't tell you that shit. Come on, man.
How much money you got?
That was a joke.
I just thought it was like you were telling me like your history, like
My name's not really Kiley Gray. It's
I thought it sounded kind of fake.
Thank you for listening to the Get Roasted podcast. Please like, follow, subscribe, and drop a rating or review. Special thanks to Crossville Vapor and Roasted Hemp Co for making this podcast possible. We have lots more to come. This episode is sponsored by Roasted Hemp Co, Tennessee's home for all things cannabis and live entertainment. Thanks for listening. See you.